There have been many images posted like this to social media recently, and I'll be honest, I find myself a little irritated that people refer to them as illusions. Obviously, it's easy to argue over what counts as an illusion. For my definition, an optical illusion is an image that makes us perceive something that is not real or not correct, and there are many varieties. There are images that mess with our ability to compare objects. Are the two center circles here the same size? What about these two? And what about these two curved shapes? How about the two central lines in these arrows? Some illusions contain geometric elements that we perceive incorrectly. What shapes are represented here? Now I'll give you a hint. The parts of this image that are not a uniform gray form just two concentric circles. Or the similar one, is it an image of a spiral? Or are we looking at a series of rings? Or in this one, how wonky are the green grid lines? Or the gray lines between these white and black tiles? Some illusions contain elements that aren't immediately apparent. There are 16 prominent circles within this image. Do you see them? How many small black circles do you see here? Do you see all 12? Or they make us see things that aren't there at all. Try counting the number of small black circles on the junctions on this grid. Or here's the same image inverted. Do you see small white circles appearing and disappearing now? Other illusions seem to show movement that isn't really happening. Why does there seem to be a jiggly heart in the middle here? Or why does the smaller central rectangle seem to shift around inside of the larger rectangular opening? This snake's illusion seems to writhe and twist as you move your eyes around it, but is anything actually moving? Or they might show dimensionality that isn't there. Do you see 4 or 5 3D waves undulating from corner to corner? Some illusions appear to change over time. Stare at the red dot long enough and the light blue circle will eventually disappear. Or they manipulate real-world images in a way that isn't obvious until we change our viewpoint. Some make us misjudge their color. Is the background color the same on either side of these squiggly lines? How about now? Or they manipulate our assumptions about spatial perspective. How long are the two pink lines on this train track? Are they the same? Look at these tables. The long sides are the same length. In fact, the shapes and sizes of both tabletops are identical. Do they look like they are? Some illusions exploit our tendencies to pay attention only to a few elements before making sense of them. How did you read the text on this meme? Now, of course, this has not been an exhaustive list, but all of the ones I've shown you are what I consider to be true illusions. They make us perceive things that are demonstrably false. There are countless examples of other types of images that are frequently called illusions. I usually see them more as novelties than legitimate tricks. Some have multiple components that are hard to comprehend all at the same time. How many different lizards do you see at once here? Some contain surprising elements that become apparent only with different viewing perspectives. On a quick glance, is the rotational symmetry of this word obvious? So-called magic eye images require unusual viewing conditions to convey all of their information. Here's one. And here's another. You can pause or screenshot this video to see the magic at work, or you can take my word that they do produce a 3D picture when you cross your eyes in just the right way. A whole class of images portrays constructions that would be impossible in real life. This triangle shape couldn't exist in the way it seems to in this image. Same with this cube. And here's a complex structure with components that seem rational up close, but together form an impossible building. Some convey components that don't exist in three-dimensional reality. The paint job on this very boring building makes it look anything but ordinary. And others deliberately obfuscate real life. That's the whole point of camouflage. There are images of structures that from a certain angle look like other things, like this bridge, or this whatever this is. I used to drive past this home all the time. My kids called it the shark house. Here it is in the daytime. AI-generated images have become infamous for including nonsensical elements, and this one, in particular, has become a popular joke about AI brainlessness. Some images cause people to have varying reactions, to see quite different things. The viral blue-black or white-gold dress photo is probably the prime example. And then there are the images that come from just a funny juxtaposition of elements, like this, or this, or this, or this. But are these really illusions? Are they actually fooling us into perceiving something that isn't true? I think most of us can tell that this woman doesn't actually have a palm tree hairdo, or that this dog isn't really driving the motorcycle. And that brings me to my original point about this image. Is it making us see something false? I say it's just playing on a normal visual process to make an overall impression that's different from the individual parts. But in that way, it's like many things that we don't call illusions. For example, the video screen you're looking at right now, which seems to be made of countless colors but is in fact an array of nothing but red, green, and blue subpixels. Or a conventional CMYK print made of only 4 inks. I constructed my own version of this image so that I could be certain about the components. Sure enough, the circles are all the same gray color, and when I overlay different parts of the red, green, and blue stripes, they become colored. Is it an illusion? Or is it just a low-res use of normal color vision? I'll get into the phenomena of this and similar illusions in separate posts, but I just don't think we're actually seeing an illusion here. Before I wrap up, I'll say that what I really hate are the illusion memes that claim to expose whether your personality is right or left-brained. Like, if you see a duck, then you're left-brained, and if you see a rabbit, you're right-brained. Or this one that went around for years claiming right-brained people see a fish and left-brained people see a mermaid. Well, what about those of us who see a seal, or a donkey, or even an aardvark? What kind of brain do we have? This stuff just makes me angry. The whole notion that people are right-brained or left-brained in the first place has been completely and repeatedly debunked. And beyond that, any reaction to a purposely vague image would say far more about the individual experience and viewing context than whether we might lean logical or artsy. This is another viral meme that claimed your personality determines whether you see the shoe as green and gray or white and pink. Come on. There is no science behind this baloney. And by the way, the fish mermaid image originally came from a 2006 study about influences on visual perception and was described by its creators as, quote, a donkey seal. So there.